have known Elizabeth Warren since law school. She's a native of Oklahoma. She's a janitor's daughter who has become one of the country's fiercest advocates for the middle class. She has seen financial struggles and foreclosures affect her own family. Long before this crisis hit, she had written eloquently, passionately, forcefully about the growing financial pressures on working families and the need to put in place stronger consumer protections. And 3 years ago, she came up with an idea for a new independent agency that would have one simple overriding mission: standing up for consumers and middle-class families. Thanks to Elizabeth's efforts, as well as the dedication and persistence of the person to my right, Secretary of Treasury Geithner, as well as leaders in Congress like Chris Dodd and Barney Frank, that agency will soon become a reality. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which was one of the central aspects of financial reform, will empower all Americans with the clear and concise information they need to make the best choices, the best financial decisions for them and their families. Never again will folks be confused or misled by the pages of barely understandable fine print that you find in agreements for credit cards or mortgages or student loans. The Bureau is going to crack down on the abusive practices of unscrupulous mortgage lenders. It will reinforce the new credit card law that we passed, banning unfair rate hikes, and ensure that folks aren't unwittingly caught by overdraft fees when they sign up for a checking account. It will give students who take out college loans clear information and make sure that lenders don't game the system. And it will ensure that every American receives a free credit score if they are denied a loan or insurance because of that score. Basically, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau will be a watchdog for the American consumer, charged with enforcing the toughest financial protections in history. Now, getting this agency off the ground will be an enormously important task, a task that can't wait. And that task is something that I've asked Elizabeth to take on. Secretary Geithner and I both agree that Elizabeth is the best person to stand this agency up. She was the architect behind the idea for a consumer watchdog, so it only makes sense that she should be the architect working with Secretary of Treasury Geithner in standing up the agency. She will help oversee all aspects of the Bureau's creation, from staff recruitment to designing policy initiatives to future decisions about the agency. She will have direct access to me and to Secretary Geithner, and she will oversee a staff at the Treasury Department that has already begun to work on this task. She will also play a pivotal role in helping me determine who the best choice is for director of the Bureau. And given the importance of these economic issues, I also want Elizabeth to have a role as a White House advisor, as well as advisor to Secretary Geithner on consumer issues. Elizabeth understands what I strongly believe, that a strong, growing economy begins with a strong and thriving middle class. And that means every American has to get a fair shake in their financial dealings. For years, financial companies have been able to spend millions of dollars on their own watchdog, lobbyists who look out for their interests and fight for their priorities. That's their right. But from now on, consumers will also have a powerful watchdog, a tough, independent watchdog whose job it is to stand up for their financial interests, for their family's future. And I'm proud that we got this done, and I'm equally proud that Elizabeth Warren will be helping to make her original vision a reality. So we are extremely proud of you, Elizabeth. Good luck.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Joins us now from Washington. She is the newly appointed assistant to the president and special advisor to the Secretary of the Treasury on the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Professor Warren, congratulations. It's nice to see you again.
Thank you. It's good to see you.
A year ago, I know that Congressman Barney Frank was among those who told you that a consumer protection agency like this was a pipe dream. It had no chance of becoming law. What happened between then and that moment today when you were standing in the Rose Garden charged with making this a reality?
What happened between then and now is a lot of American people said, you know, we've had enough of this. I've been out there, I've talked, but so have lots and lots and lots of other people. I appreciate the kind words, but this has been everywhere. This has been the small community groups. This has been the AFL out there working on this, the SEIU. All over America, a lot of groups said, this is an issue we care about, and we care about it because it affects us, it affects our neighbors, it affects our families. And they got behind it, and they're the ones who put the wind in the sails of this bill. And that's how we ended up in the Rose Garden today.
Does it worry you, does it weigh on you how much faith people have in you personally to be able to communicate Main Street concerns in a way that can compete with Wall Street concerns?
Of course it does. You know, all I can do is the best I can. But at the end of the day, what this is really about, it isn't about me. I mean, I will do my best. I will get out there. I will talk about this. But you've got to remember, the real power here is not at the top. This is lots of people who came together and said, enough of this. We're not going to do this anymore. You know, the reason Barney Frank said this is a pipe dream is he said the lobbyists always win. I mean, that's what happens in this town. I was told that over and over and over. All the money is on one side, and in my view, all the hurting was on the other side. I think that the consumer agency is about our trying to change that around and actually having some success doing it.
When you first proposed this consumer watchdog agency in 2007, you tied the exorbitant fees middle-class Americans are paying to their credit cards. You tied that to the health of the economy. It's a substantial amount of money, and it's money, you explained, that Americans are not spending on clothes and cars and groceries and stuff that stimulates the economy. Do you see the creation of the CFPB as important, not just in terms of fairness, but for the overall health of the economy?
Oh, absolutely, in multiple ways. So let's just talk about a couple. The first one is, you know, whatever's the right metaphor you want to use, when you think about families out there, their own boats, trying to make it, you know, trying to make it from here to there. What credit has become is a big hole in the bottom of the boat. The tricks, the traps, the ways that money is drained out. And what this agency has the capacity to do is to begin to patch that up so that families have more money. And when they have more money, they're more stable. They're likely to take on obligations that they're really going to be able to pay back. That's more money in their hands, more money for haircuts, more money to buy goods, more money to buy services, more money in the economy, and more stability. It also means that the idea of trading in those credit products, you know, those mortgages, we all are familiar with those, but there are others as well, that we're going to promise those grotesque profits. The idea of trading in those, creating the securitization that ultimately crashed this entire economy, we just take that one off the table. We say, find somebody else to play with. You can't do it with American families. You can't do it with the American economy. So this is really about safety for all of us.
You have created your own bully pulpit by virtue of your own communication skills, and that was true before you got this appointment. It now becomes more official, and I think a lot of people who have been fans of yours are heartened today to see you not only here, but on doing a lot of other media today, hoping that you'll become a much more public force and public face on this issue even than you have been already. I know that your priority must be this agency, protecting people from predation and the other types of reforms that you just described, but are there other policy agenda items that you think would make a huge difference in terms of how middle-class working families are going to be able to survive this recession?
Yes, ma'am. Do keep in mind, the president asked me to wear two hats, not just one. And you know how important this agency is to me and how much time and blood I'll pour into it. But at the same time, he has asked me to be an assistant to the president, to talk directly with him, to talk directly with his team about middle-class economic issues and to be part of their conversation on this. So I think the answer is I've got a foot in the door now, and I want to talk because I know these are important issues to the president, to the president's team, and I want I want to be in that room and see if I can be helpful on a range of issues.
Well, for a person who I feel like at the age of 37, my whole cohort, my whole life and all of my peers have been defined by debt and the new American relationship with debt. And you're the first person in public life right now who I feel like is talking about that in ways that makes sense with my experience and with the experience of all my peers. So from that perspective, welcome, and we're all counting on you, and good luck.
Thank you very much.
Elizabeth Warren, the newly appointed Assistant to the President and Special Advisor to the Secretary of the Treasury on the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau.